everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm here with another author interview with Mr. Ralph Srouji, and he is the author of a book called The Cell, which is a book that I have read, and I really enjoyed the book. Hello, Mr. Srouji. How are you?
Hi, Rick. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So, could you just start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself and about the book?
All right. Well, yeah. So I'm okay. Yeah, of course. Sorry.
It's fine. I can always edit
Okay.
anything out.
Okay. Would you like to go with the question again? How should we
No,
do?
it's fine. I can just edit.
All right. Okay.
Let's start whenever.
So I'm an American Lebanese who grew up in Beirut in the 80s and 90s, and then I moved to the United States in the mid 2000s. I've always been a big reader of fiction and specifically science fiction. I've always wanted to write books, science fiction books. And eventually, with the 2 years of COVID, I finally got some time to sit down and do the work and, write the book over and over. Concerning The Cell, it came to me just really by coincidence. I used to write much larger books, but with The Cell, I wanted it to be small so that I can finish it, so that I'm sure that I can finish it and have something concentrated and ready for publishing in a short time span.
Mm-hmm. So, well, The Cell was what, around like 150 pages?
It's around 150 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, because I noticed it's like a little smaller than the other, but I also like the length because a lot of books are like the biggest thing that makes people stop reading is like the length. It gets really annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
Like really long.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
it
Sorry.
when it's shorter because like they get to the plot like happens a little quicker than sometimes books like unnecessarily drag on. Sometimes they need to be that long. Other times like books just to try and make the book seem like longer. The
Absolutely.
plot unnecessarily drags on, which I like. It was like they got right to the point.
Yeah, I meant for it to be really concentrated and to the point. I didn't want to drag it on. It's a story by itself that spans for some 40,000 years. And so I could really have hundreds, if not thousands of pages. Instead, I wanted to present that little universe that I created into a short book and give mainly the big headlines of that civilization. And then little by little add other short stories to it, other novels to it. So there are more in the work that will detail a little bit more parts of the book.
So can you give like a little plot summary of what exactly The Cell is about?
Sure. Yeah, of course. Well, The Cell is about humanity who moved to a metaverse called Morphia. And so it's a completely virtual world, and people live in it very realistically. Sorry. So you have the whole book started as a reflection on that point: is what will happen to humanity if we enter a virtual reality era, where everything becomes virtual, where we are completely connected and immersed in some metaverse. And as I developed this idea in my head, I noticed that there are a lot of actually advantages and a lot of benefits for humanity to probably move into a world like this, because we will be freeing ourselves from the physical world. And in the book, I talk a lot about that physical and inspirational world where everything that is physical, everything that it requires, all the efforts that we put in this, while if we move into something more virtual, everything becomes much easier and much requires much less resources and much less energy and work, of course. So that's how the book started in my mind. is about humanity moving into a virtual world, into a metaverse. And from there, I started developing how can humanity first do this, the passage from this reality to a virtual reality. And later on, how they're going to behave, some of the problems they will face, some of the challenges they will have to go through. And as they evolve more and more, and this society turns out to be the most stable society in history of humanity, the book touches on our main role in the universe, and our and what is humanity meant to be doing, or yeah, basically it answers the main three questions: who are we, where do we come from, and where we're going.
Because like recently the metaverse has kind of just been a concept that blew up, right? Because Facebook renamed as Meta. Facebook's like going heavily into the metaverse. You know, like people are buying land in like
absolutely
that
absolutely
exists.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the Ready Player One.
Right, right.
That one.
Well, it's more than this, because we are completely immersed in the
yeah,
metaverse.
It's not just a game. It's like your entire life is
life altogether. People gather to work together, to think together, to have fun together.
Yeah,
to experience things, all of that. Yeah, it's a full life. It's a full life. Yeah.
So like, without giving away any spoilers, of course, if I was right when reading the book, it was that like they could pretty much do like whatever they wanted. They didn't they weren't like shackled down by any like physical capabilities, or like if the weather like was what they wanted it to be.
Absolutely, everything is customizable. Yes,
and
even the people that you meet.
Sorry, you can go.
Yeah, even the people that you meet, you can erase them. So you go to, let's say, public places, and you don't want to be in a crowd, so you can have a crowd level of your choosing. Of course, you can have any physiognomy that you'd like, how you would like to appear, your age, your looks, all of this, you can change it as you go, and however you'd like. It's a world of choices. It's a world where freedom reaches its extremes. And that is also one of the main themes of the book, is how free can we be in a world like this. And so yeah, it describes in so many aspects what life in the metaverse could be, indeed. Yes.
What gave you the like inspiration to write the book specifically about the metaverse? Because like I said, the metaverse is like a fairly new topic. Like it's been around, but like the big ideas about it have like more recently come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Today we have the technology to make it happen. And I actually, it came to me because I was seeing all these all this talk about metaverse, and I really wanted to put some thoughts in it, because maybe to a little bit guide us into what we can do with the metaverse, rather than how can we profit from the metaverse. Today, as you said, people can buy plots of land in the metaverse. I wouldn't advise anyone to do this, because what you're buying is basically can be redone infinitely. There is no value in buying land in the metaverse. Because there will be multiple metaverses in the future. And so my idea was to say that, sure, we have this technology, and it's a great technology, and it will make us happier. It will make us, we will have a better life, a better quality of life if we move to the metaverse. And you read the book. There is no mention of economy. There's no mention of work that you have to put in, production. No, everybody is basically free to do what they want. produce what they would like to produce, which can help humanity or not. The idea is a reduction of our consciousness into what we can do with it, whatever we want to do with it, without being stopped or conditioned by the physical world.
How much research did you have to do to write this book?
Well, a lot, of course, a lot, especially the science part.
Yeah, there's a lot of science stuff, lots of calculations at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, black hole stuff.
I can't count this. It's been years and years of, reading and listening to podcasters and scientists on YouTube and reading books about it. The thing about the book is that there is no magic in it. Everything can be, of course, some of it is very theorized and we're not there yet, but everything has a logical scientific explanation. I'm not out there doing supernatural things, and people do not have superpowers. No, not at all. They are very human, and the world they live in is very scientific and physical. So I did a lot of research on all of that, of course, read a lot. And while I did add a lot of fictional science, it's always been that something that can be true, at least, that has an understanding in science. Concerning the metaverse in itself, well, I've always been a gamer since my early teenage years. I'm 45 years now, so I started fairly early. I would say in the 90s when we had these really old games, and for me the future of gaming is somewhere in the metaverse, right? Today we finally have these 3D hardware that allows us to go into virtual reality to play games, but eventually all our gaming will be in a virtual world. The screen is going to go down. We're gonna live the experience much more, and there's nothing that makes you live the gaming experience better than being in virtual reality, completely immersed. One of the characters in the book, one of the main characters of the book, is a big gamer who created the metaverse of Morphia, and we will hear more about this character in future books. But to say that virtual reality is an important step, is a very important step in humanity's evolution, and we are just scratching the tip of the iceberg, knowing where it can lead us.
Yeah. What would you say was like the toughest part of this book to write?
The toughest, I would say by far it was chapter 9. Okay, the book is 10 chapters. I'm not gonna say what it is, but to get all of these ideas and concepts that I've described for 7, 8 chapters before, to get a summary of them that would be fairly simple for readers to understand. I think by far chapter 9 was the hardest chapter that I've ever basically written in my life, as it brings in everything, explains everything, and links everything together. So explaining all of this and all the science in it was quite
tough. What would you say is like in this book that you are most proud of?
Oh, the whole book. Honestly, I'm proud that I finally finished one. That I've written it over and over until I felt that it was ready for publishing, and I made finally the step. I would also say that I'm proud of a few themes and concepts that have hardly ever been detailed in previous books. I'm very proud, for instance, of the building blocks of nature in physics. We have been looking for the building blocks for 3,000 years now, and we still haven't found them. The smallest things we've discovered is the quarks, and we don't know if it's the last level. In the book, I thought a lot, of course, about how can this happen and how can these building blocks appear, and they are very central to the story altogether. Other than this, I am also very proud of the AI that is running Morphia, running the metaverse, and of course the ending that I'm not gonna talk about right now. It's in my opinion, it's a beautiful story that explains a lot about our universe and our nature altogether.
I thought so too, because it was like a very different book from the types of books that I've read, because I have like a very broad taste of books, but like when you compare it to like some of the other books that I've read, this was a very different topic. It was like in general, it was a little more complex to read. Like there was that mix between story, whereas it was actually like there were like real scientific concepts and like metaverse concepts which were introduced, obviously, which you didn't like it wasn't anywhere like a textbook or anything, but it was something where there was like real concepts which you had to actually think for a second, actually pay attention while reading so that you would understand what was fully happening.
True, it's true. It can be complicated for a lot of people, and a lot of my friends, of course, who are not sci-fi fans, found it difficult, especially to get grabbed by the book. And I'm like, go ahead and read. Don't worry about the details. And this is what I say to my readers. If you don't understand something, it's not the end of the world. Those are scientific concepts that you can accept as they are if you want, or go dig a little bit and know what it is about. But yeah, to concentrate on the story in itself and a little bit about the philosophy behind it. Yeah. It is not a book where there's action, where there's alien invasions, where,
it's
all
a different
of these
sci-fi
things.
book.
Yeah, it is. It's calm. It's a nice story. There's no bloodshed. There's none of this. On the contrary, it's more like a form of imagining what future would be like for the human race.
Yeah. So moving away from the cell, I just have some like broader questions. How many books have you said this was like the first book that you like fully finished? Is that true?
Yes.
How many books have you like started writing, but then, slowly with other stuff, they just kind of
I would say a good dozen, books. Yeah. I've started many. I've rewritten many of them over and over during the years, but I never got to a point where I was done with the book. And as I was saying, it has to do with the number of pages. The longer it is, the more work it takes. So I thought just cut it down into small books and explain everything with different characters. So I'm happy to announce that there will be another book coming out hopefully this year. I hope this year something new will come up that will add to the story. And that's the plan, is to every 6 or 7 months have a new little novel with different characters, different stories, covering other things, but that is part of this whole metaverse universe that is the world of Morphia.
What was the publishing process like for you for this book?
Oh, that's a completely different game board altogether. Writing the book was actually easier than publishing it.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah. So suddenly you're no longer isolated. When you're writing, you just um, go and isolate yourself and write for hours. Then you walk a lot all by yourself, and you're thinking, and all these ideas are going in your head, um, and suddenly you finish the book and you're so happy about it. But then you discover, how am I going to bring this book to the readers? And although they say it's easier than ever today, it's still very, very hard.
Uh-huh.
And so I had to have a Facebook page, which for me, for instance, Facebook, I hardly look at it. Or had to have a Twitter account, an Instagram account,
Yeah.
have a website and start getting more content out, so that to attract people to read the book and all of this. It was tough. It was tough, and the result is just to be perfectly, is not great. It's selling, but it's of course not selling as much as I would hope. That being said, I think by writing more,
Mm-hmm.
and by continuing and never, basically keep on doing what I'm doing, eventually that book will, and the whole series will be one day hopefully recognized,
Uh-huh.
and well sold, etc.
I think so too, because especially with the concept growing more and more as people try and read about it, like people, it's a really good way for people to like see and like hear about like the possibilities of the concept in a way which is like entertaining to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I have just a couple more questions left.
Please. Yeah.
Um, what would you say is the most frustrating part of just writing a book in general? The hardest part?
The hardest part of writing a book. Um, I guess it's the hardest part is to be convinced that your book is ready.
Mm-hmm.
The chapters, you get some writing block. You can't write anymore. You block. Uh, but these usually tend to resolve themselves within a few days later, at least in my experience. Um, you would be writing, and then there's a knot that you cannot resolve. It takes a lot of continuing to write and write again and try this way and try that way and rewriting. But eventually there's this eureka moment where you're like, okay, I got it. I resolved it, and you can do this. My greatest challenge was to tell myself, okay, it's ready. It's done, it's complete. I don't need to redo anything anymore. It looks great. Sure, it can be better, but it can always be better. But it's now ready to go, ready to be published. I think that was my main challenge to get to that point.
And lastly, a question which I make sure to ask everybody who's written a book to come up here is, what would you give advice? What advice would you give to someone who's wanting to become an author, to write their first book, but is just not sure?
Yeah, well, be very patient, really. Be patient. Just keep working on it. Just as long as you read it, reread it, try again. Really, perseverance is very important in writing. Trust yourself, trust your ideas, your message that you'd like to send is valuable if you think that you have a book around it. Just be patient and work hard, and then eventually you'll be able to put a final point on that book.
That goes hand in hand with pretty much what every author has also
Yeah.
said. That's all of them. Everybody has really good advice when it comes to that question. They're always some of the most common stuff I've heard. Yeah, is they say the patience is very important. You don't want to
Yeah.
rush it.
No.
Because book writing
Absolutely.
is like an art. You can't rush art. Same thing. You don't want to rush your book, and confidence.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of confidence to get to the point where you say, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready uh, uh, to release this book and you know, get people to start reading it. And it's not only people that you know, your friends and your family, because
Yeah.
all of these guys are very supportive usually, and they tell you what a great book you have. I think one of the important moments is when you see people that you don't know at all, who are giving you ratings and feedback on your book, and whether they like it or not. Those are the things that I read with a lot of attention, be it a good review or a bad review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
That's all the
much.
questions I had. Again, everybody, please check out the book, The Cell. I think that you guys will really like it, especially if you're into science fiction or anything like that. Because I really enjoyed it. It's a different book, but still, I still found it really entertaining. I learned a lot. So again, thank you, and I will see you all in the next video.
Thank you.